Thanks, Nick. I appreciate the opportunity to present. As Nick said, I'm the National Solutions Director, Enterprise Networking for Eplus. I sit inside the global strategy team for Eplus, so my responsibility includes, setting strategy for Eplus around enterprise networking. So DevOps is a piece of many of our business units, but inside of enterprise networking, we view DevOps as a critical piece. So that's why I'm presenting this today. Just a quick background about me. I've been with Eplus for right at 16 months now. I joined 15 months. I joined in June of 2019. Prior to that, I was with a West Coast company by the name of Trace3. Started a DevOps DevNet practice with them 3 years ago. So I've been around DevOps and DevSecOps, NetOps, DevOps. There's so many terms of it, but I've been around it for really about 4 years now. So today's agenda, I'm just going to go through a real quick Eplus overview. What presentation from Eplus wouldn't be complete without a commercial. To talk to you specifically about the enterprise networking practice, which I'm, again, part of. Then we're going to get into what is DevOps, outcome-based approach, what the market size of DevOps is. You're going to be surprised. I continue to see it grow and gain traction. So it's really growing fast. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Eplus DevOps practice. We do have specifically a DevOps practice inside of Eplus. It actually sits inside of our cloud business unit. And I think Justin Mesher was a presenter on this on the RVA Tech prior. It actually sits inside of his business unit, but we integrate and interoperate on a daily basis. So then I'm going to, because Cisco is a big part of it and part of our practice, I'm going to talk to you specifically about what Cisco is doing in the DevOps, specifically around their, what they call it, DevNet. And then I'm going to just go through some basic, how do I get started if you're interested. We'll get to that. Again, Eplus, founded in 1990, headquartered in Herndon, 1,600 employees. We're going to be right at over $2 billion in revenue for this last fiscal year. So growing rapidly. We're publicly traded on the NASDAQ, so pretty well-known company. Inside of Eplus, global strategy focuses on, delivering and deploying cloud, data center, security, enterprise networking, collaboration, emerging research and development. We have a full portfolio of professional services, and a lot of people don't know this. We do have financial and consumption models. We are a leasing company. We have a subsidiary or a sister company, Eplus Corp, that actually does leasing and financial modeling. So in Eplus, and you'll see why I put this screen up in the middle of it, but we do an outcome-driven lifecycle services. That's what we believe in. That's what our consulting teams do. Professional services believes in this. This is our mantra. This is our model. This is our methodology. We believe in consulting, enabling, and operating. And you see in the middle there, in the enable, DevOps is pretty much at the top of the list. To enable today's infrastructure, whether it be cloud, data center, networking, security, you have to have a DevOps practice. I mean, so many things are driven by APIs and integration of programmability aspects into all the technology that DevOps is clearly at the top of an enablement methodology. Won't spend a lot of time on this one, but enterprise networking, we believe in, based on the business outcomes, I have three: transform, secure, connect, and manage. Again, in the transformation, we believe in open network architecture, automation, which is DevOps. So, all right, DevOps for networking, what is it? So, what I was putting this together, I said, what is DevOps as I see it? DevOps has become one of the most transformational terms in networking, in the networking industry today. I mean, you can't go into a networking conversation without talking about DevOps or NetOps or SecOps or infrastructure as code or network programmability. What is it? It's used to combine the software development, which if any of you come from an old school of programming, which I do. I was a programmer and a database administrator and manager for a long time. It combines that software development with IT operations, thus you get the dev and the ops. It's when focused in the area of enterprise networking, the term used is commonly referred to as NetOps, but in reality, those words are synonymous: DevOps, NetOps, totally synonymous. This graphic that you see is pretty well known in the industry. You'll see this pretty much on everybody's DevOps, NetOps web page. I borrowed it from something that we did for a piece of collateral here at Eplus. But it allows companies, NetOps, DevOps allows companies to enable faster development of applications. That's where, it comes from the agile framework where I can get code out fast and I'm testing in production sometimes and achieve easier maintenance of existing deployments. I want to promote shorter, more controllable iterations, micro-size, micro containers, microcode, using that type of methodology. And I'm able to adopt some best practices, automation, and then deployment of all the new tools that are available today. You'll see a screen pretty soon on what all the tools are. There's a plethora of tools available in the DevOps, NetOps world. But if you look at the left-hand side, what am I doing in the development side? I'm testing, I'm building, I'm coding, I'm planning, then I move it into operations, releasing, deploy, operate, and monitor. And that's happening in a very, very short amount of time. I've seen production DevOps code go out in less than a day. I've pushed it out when I need a repeatable task that I need to automate. I can push out a production-ready piece of code in hours, less than versus days or weeks. Here's the classic definition. Now, I pulled it off the net. So this is the classic definition that people use around DevOps. Practices that combine software development, IT operations. I'm not going to read it out. You can read that. But the biggest thing I pulled from here is that it is complementary with agile software development. If you're not familiar with agile software development, most large software development firms and companies and enterprises that engage in software development use agile today. So most of the aspects of DevOps come from that methodology. So what are the characteristics of a DevOps practice? Application program interfacing, API driven. It's the automation of repeatable tasks, changing IP addresses across, 65 routers, orchestration of configuration tasks. How do I configure a router across, 40 different sites? Executing those repeatable tasks often in a production mode, it's documented. I know how to execute it. It's collaborative across teams of networking, security, applications, businesses, and of course, more importantly, operations. It usually has or does need to have code repositories and, as with any programming, documentation. Again, the agile fast, it's fast from code to execution. I put this up on the screen because in my business outcome approach inside Global Strategy for Enterprise Networking, the first one, evolve the enterprise network architecture to a software-defined solution that is capable of fully supporting the automation, orchestration, programmability, multi-cloud connectivity, and end-to-end security. That's why DevOps, NetOps is so important because it's in my first business outcome. The DevOps market size. I pulled this out of IDC last week, actually. It's 2.2 trillion by 2022. That's a T, not a B. It's huge. We are getting a lot of momentum inside of our DevOps practice inside of Eplus. And the programming services around that, it will be up by 70+%. So our professional services engagements around DevOps, NetOps, SecOps is, going to be up by 70%. So professional services is moving from the traditional deployment, configuration, deployment, design into a DevOps world where, people are, customers are coming to us and say, hey, I've got this infrastructure. How do I automate it? Why do I need to automate it? Well, because I can do more with less people. I can do more faster. I can get that code out to the infrastructure in a repeatable fashion, so I don't have to sit at the CLI and bang on the keyboard all the time. But it's 2.2 trillion. It's huge. It's a huge market. So at Eplus, and I put the link up there. This presentation will be available for download or for distribution. We have a DevOps public-facing page. I just pulled an extract out of it. You know, we believe that DevOps is transformative. It's huge. We participate in the transformation of enterprises into a DevOps world. We have container orchestration, automation, integration. We believe in infrastructure as code. We have education, training, workshops, custom project services. We have all of that, and you can see a lot of that from our webpage. Here's an example of an automation exploration workshop. This is kind of the how do I get started with Eplus. This is what we would do. This is a one-day workshop. We would go through, you know, introduction in there, module 2, DevOps, you know, what the mindset, tools, and terminologies are. We'll talk about version control, something called GitHub, which is nothing more than a code repository. Cloud orchestration, you know, how do I extend the DevOps programmability into my cloud strategy, whether it be AWS or Azure or Google Cloud, and then going through the rest of the workshop. So we have this as kind of our starter workshop. It's a one-day workshop. We call it the DevOps Automation Exploration Workshop. What does Cisco say? They have this thing called DevNet, which is really DevOps. And I think, you know, if you pay attention to Cisco, which we do very a lot here at Eplus, you know, this past year, early in this year, they rolled out their DevNet certification path, which, you know, is comparable to their original networking certification path. People are familiar with Cisco certification, you know, CCNA, CCNP, CCIEs. Well, Cisco has developed a comparable stack in the DevNet world. I can become a DevNet associate, DevNet specialist, a DevNet professional, and pretty soon, I think what I've heard is by the end of the year, first of calendar year 21, I'll have a DevNet expert, kind of the equivalent of a CCIE in DevNet and DevOps. So, you know, you take the largest networking company in the world, they're focused on DevOps. That pretty much is the message, you know, we need to be. And this is right out of a Cisco slide deck, publicly facing slide deck that I pulled, you know, where the partners and where the customers fit in within, you know, the developer and the application programming interfaces, APIs. You know, I can do collaboration. IoT is huge. IoT is prime for a DevOps automation scenario. SD access, software-defined access, software-defined WAN, software-defined data center. I can program and layer in all of this DevOps, NetOps, SecOps into that, so that I can, you know, automate and orchestrate, you know, from a single dashboard that I customize and I build. Then I can automate the tools, automate the processes, repeatable. I can change, you know, whatever I need to change out of a dashboard that is, you know, hooked into all of those pieces at the bottom layer. What do customers want? You know, I can, you know, provision multiple devices with fewer resources. That's the number one, pretty much the number one thing that I hear when I talk to customers about it. You know, resources are still scarce. I mean, for us that live in technology, we know that. Hard to find good people. You know, scarce resources. How do I do multiple tasks under multiple devices in an ever-expanding infrastructure that now includes cloud strategy and SaaS and IaaS and all of that? How do I continue to stay on top of the enterprise and the business with fewer resources? You know, DevOps is the answer. The one thing that, you know, is important in a DevOps world is security. How do I secure all of that? That's why you'll hear the term attached to a lot of DevOps, NetOps is called SecOps, security operations. How do I automate the security process? How do I plug into the security platforms, into the unified threat management platforms to make sure that you know, that my infrastructure maintains a secure posture? And then business insights. How do I, now that I've got all this data, where do I put the data and how do I glean business insights out of that? So a lot of tools that are available that do business analytics based on DevOps, NetOps, and SecOps. So again, Cisco's marketing slide. So how do I get started? Thought about this long and hard. Obviously, you know, contact an Eplus account exec or account manager for a follow-up conversation. Plenty of people inside of Eplus can have follow-up conversations with you. call me. You'll see my contact on the next slide. Sign up for a Eplus training session. That first workshop. It's 1 day. Really goes through everything you need to know to really start a DevOps, NetOps practice inside of your company. Absolutely join Cisco's DevNet. I mean, it's easy to join. Plenty of training opportunities. They've done a really good job. So join Cisco's DevNet. And then, put a plan together to train and certify your team. And then that will lead you to building an internal business unit. And that's really how you get started, in my opinion. It's easy. I've walked we, Eplus, have walked customers through this process several times over the last few years. So, and again, just reach out to anybody at Eplus. Be glad to help. And I think, surprisingly enough, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Really wanted to open up too for questions. I hope there are a lot of questions. If not, it's going to be a short presentation. So.
Well, thanks so much, Bob. I really appreciate it. Let's see if we got any questions in. Where do you look for questions on WebEx? In the chat box?
Actually, let me open up the chat box. Yes. Chats, here we go.
Yeah.
Use back on the Eplus selling language if you can. Okay, I did. Yeah, no chats, no messages.
All right. Well, Bob, we have this recorded, right? So we're good to go there?
We are. I've got it recorded and can, push that out to you guys as soon as we're done.
Well, wonderful. Well, Bob, thanks so much for your time. And thanks to Eplus for sponsoring this and helping us put this together. We appreciate it. Again, if you want to refer to this later, we will have it on the rvatech.com website. It will be in our archive, as well as all of our other webinars that we try to host once a week. So if you like what you heard here, please also consider checking the schedule for upcoming webinars, and hopefully we'll see you there. Bob, thanks again so much, and we'll see you all next time.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Bye.